Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Marketing and Matcha for your dose of unapologetically unfiltered, slightly chaotic, and fiercely opinionated, but always data-driven marketing insight. Today we are here for the third episode with Ahmed. He is back.
Hello.
As promised, and today we're going to be discussing the topic of where to draw the line when it comes to ethics, AI, psychology, and cybersecurity in marketing. So it's a very jam-packed topic. Buckle up. Okay, so what we'll do is first we'll dive into psychology in marketing and then further focus on the one aspect of it, which is emotional marketing. Marketing has a foundation in psychology, how emotional resonance, like the liking stage of things, move things forward to get people to actually act and then purchase the product. Ahmed, can you please give us the details, the further details? There's a lot that goes into it. Give us the details of how psychology is at the core of marketing.
Hello, everyone. People think marketing is about selling product, but it's not. It's about understanding people at its heart. Marketing is built on core principles of social psychology. So let's go to the first thing, motivation. Motivation, it's like what drives people to act. Attitudes, how people feel about brands and ideas. For social influence, how people are affected by others. As we can see, a lot of people following the influencers.
Yeah, not just even influencers, like your peer pressure. You have people that tell you, hey, I got this. It looks like that's social influence as well. Yeah, true.
Yeah. Decision making, how people choose between options. Perceptions, how people interpret information. These psychology elements shape how consumers see, feel, and interact with brand from first impression to loyalty.
Yeah, there's actually a really good research paper by Alan Kimmel called The Psychological Foundation of Marketing. And it actually explores all of the concepts that you just spoke about, like motivation and attitude, and it tells you how it's applied to consumer behavior and brand strategy. Here's a really good quote from it. A good example of how psychological principles of motivation conceptually clarify the effectiveness of promotional marketing messages is illustrated by Rogers' protection motivation theory, which illuminates the circumstances by which fear appeals have persuasive effects. The effectiveness of messages is less a matter of the degree of the fear the messages include, but rather the extent to which they motivate people to protect themselves. So this quote actually talks about, there's two things I want to highlight about this quote. One, this was from 1983, this theory by Rogers, okay? So like psychology in marketing has been going on for a really long time. It's not like it's a new phenomenon. It's research from 1983, which is considered ancient at this point, and it talks about even fear as an emotion being used in psychology, in marketing. So that takes us into actual emotional marketing that I want to get into. Can you tell me how fear can be used as a form of marketing?
There are many different levels of fear that you can invoke in someone. We have low-grade fear for some. That is FOMO. Stands for fear of missing out. Let's say you create a product that is exclusive and available for a limited time. People want to get it because they fear missing out on it. Like Labubu and the limited things.
Like it's ugly.
Or Dubai chocolate.
Well, Dubai chocolate, yeah, that works as well. But like Labubu's ugly, but they will have limited editions and people are like, I want to have it. And before that, it was the trolls. It's very scary.
Ugly.
No, it's not scary. It's ugly.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later.
Or let's say it's an event that seems like it will be amazing and it happens very rarely. They will want to attend. Then we have a greater levels of fear. Let's say fear of death and your health. An ad of doctors or other health related things like sports and losing weights can also strike fear at a higher level in people and get them to sign up for a gym or go a health checkup.
True.
These are just a few examples of fear in emotional marketing. But overall, there are many other emotions to use as well. Here are a few real-world applications that can be used in marketing. Let's jump to the first one, Craft emotionally resonant ads. Build trust and loyalty. Design campaigns that influence behavior, fear, hope, belonging. Guide customer journeys like shaping perceptions at each touch point. MJ, do you want to get into how people can make effective examples of the real world applications that I just gave?
Yes. So, to be able to make really good emotional marketing advertisements and campaigns and such, you need to understand the concept of emotions and neurological mechanisms that are involved here. So, emotions influence consumer decisions via cognitive and neurological processes. It's not as simple as you think, as like we understand it, but we don't know the exact details of how it works. So half the time we miss the mark. So you need to be affecting the risk perception, the message, the way it's framed, memory encoding. Like, how is this memory going to be absorbed into the long-term memory of someone, or is it going to just stay in the short-term memory? Theories like Kahneman's dual process and appraisal tendency explain how feelings alter information processing and purchasing choices. So first, I'm going to talk about the dual process theory by Daniel Kahneman. I am probably butchering his name. Sorry about that. So the definition of this theory is that it suggests that the human brain operates using two systems of thinking. System one is fast, automatic, emotional, and on the subconscious level, okay? And this is where most of the marketing decisions happen. It's the quick instinctive reactions to visuals, tone, or emotional triggers. So like your packaging, the colors that you use in your artwork, the voice of the person that is being used in the advertisement, those kind of things are all what get registered by system one, okay? Then we have system two of the brain, which is the slow, deliberate, logical, and effortful one. So this is usually used for comparing prices, reading the fine print, the terms and conditions. Yes, some people still do read those, or making high stakes decisions, okay? Emotional marketing primarily targets system one. So you need to aim to create gut reactions and brand associations before the rational thinking kicks in. Why? Because let's be honest, there are several products out there that look exactly the same. What makes the difference between someone purchasing this one and the other one is that you've made them purchase it before they had time to think too deeply about it. So let's say your price is higher than your competitors, but you hit the emotional aspect of it in the marketing part much better, that they just said, I want this product. I need it right now. They didn't even get to the part to say, okay, let me compare the pros and cons of it. Let me see, this one's a bit pricier, but this one's a bit better, and so on and so forth. They didn't even get to that stage. So when you're crafting your messages, if you want them to be effective, it needs to hit that mark very, very quickly. Now, Ahmed, there are ways that people carry out these studies and see people's reactions and so on. There's something called the neuromarketing research tools that people use during like studying and analysis. This information didn't just pop out of nowhere, right? So do you want to talk about the neuromarketing tools that people use?
Sina, modern marketing doesn't just rely on guesswork. Today we use neuromarketing tools to understand how people really respond to ads. These tools include things like facial expression tracking, which shows us what people feel as they watch an ad.
Yeah, and these are like micro expressions, right? Not the ones that we just see. That's why it's a tool, because like people won't catch it, but these tools will catch the expressions. Yeah.
For sure. The second thing, eye tracking, which reveals what catches their attention. And IRT, implicit response tests, which uncover subconscious reactions and hidden biases that people might not express openly. Research using these tools confirms something powerful. Ads that create positive emotions like joy, excitement, or a sense of connections lead to stronger consumer involvement. When people feel good while watching an ad, they are more likely to remember the brand, trust it, and even talk about it. This emotional engagement sticks in their mind much longer than rational information alone. So while using fear in emotional marketing is useful, you can clearly see from the results that tools give us, it's still only the least useful emotion to use. Emotional marketing, it's the strategy brand used to create a deep psychology connection with their audience, going far beyond features or prices. At its core, emotional marketing taps into what really matters to people, their values, memories, their identity, and their feelings of belonging and satisfaction. And instead of focusing only on functional benefits, like our product is fastest or cheapest, emotional marketing asks, how does this brand make people feel? What story does it tell? What memories or dreams does it connect to? Think of successful emotional campaigns. They use stories, nostalgia, and relatable experience to spark genuine emotion. When people feel emotionally connected to a brand, they trust it more. And trusted what keeps them loyal, even when there are cheaper or newer alternatives.
Now, I want to get into, like, we're talking about creating stories and experiences and nostalgia and so on and so forth, but I want to get into the details of how we can actually, like, things to keep in mind when we are building these campaigns. Now, there are two persuasion routes that you can take, okay? This is, I'm going to start throwing at you some scientific terms a little bit. There's the central versus the peripheral processing of the brain. As I mentioned, how we've got the system 1 and system 2, this kind of builds on top of that. Now, there's one called the ELM, the Elaboration Likelihood Model. This is a theory of persuasion that suggests that there are two persuasion pathways to change people's attitudes: the central and the peripheral. Now, the central route involves higher cognitive engagement, local argument evaluation, and leads to durable attitudes. So this is basically your system 2. Then we have the peripheral route, which is the thing that relies on cues like emotional tone, visuals, credibility, or emotional appeal. And it is especially effective under low consumer involvement, okay? So emotions play a stronger role in peripheral processing, where emotional cues often drive immediate responses, even if the message isn't deeply analyzed, as I said in system 1. For marketing and short form content, this is the most effective pathway. But what we need to keep in mind is that these are just for like your initial engagement. They're not for the trust and loyalty drivers that you want to maintain for long term. So you can capture your audience with this, but you still have to take in a lot of consideration when building your product and taking it further and upgrading it so that your consumers stay around as well. Now, this falls on the consumer motivation and expectancy value models. And the expectancy value model, which is based on an expectancy value theory, also known as the EVT, is a motivational theory developed by Atkinson in 1964 using educational psychology by Wickfield and Eccles. I think I'm also butchering his name. So this theory states that behavior is influenced by beliefs about an outcome and the value placed on that outcome. So attitudes shape purchase intentions based on perceived costs and benefits. Your product still has to show that it is going to have a perceived benefit for the audience that is going to be worth the cost. Now, based on the cost and how strongly you will build your perceived benefit, that's what's going to determine if your product is going to be successful or not. Because if you're not building that benefit high enough and you've decided to go for a higher cost, that perceived benefit is not there. So people will most likely just go, why would I buy this? And of course, this is very different from people to people, which is where the theory of reasoned action, also known as TRA, comes into play. It's a social psychology model that builds on EVT, and it shows that behavioral intentions derive from personal attitudes and social norms, which in turn motivates consumer behavior when aligned with beliefs and peer influence. Think of how trends work, for example. The social aspect, like you need to study the social norms when you're doing your market research. You need to see what is currently accepted in the market, which is why, by the way, it's much easier to slip something in that already exists than something that is completely new for it to stick around. So if something is already kind of accepted, there is a need for it in the market, there is a gap there. People are primed psychologically to accept something like this. And there will be more people that will influence others because they're already open to it. So you have people who are, let's say, completely against Dubai chocolate. They don't like it. They don't care. If there isn't enough social norm around and a lot of social influence around because people in when the rest of the market have already kind of accepted it and wanted it in the first place and were easy to like get on the hype, those people will start to get slowly influenced as well. And then it will give you the expected value theory, like return for that. The perception kicks in, it's changed, the perceived costs and benefits are okay now, and people will end up going for it. So those are things that are very like important to keep in mind when you're doing your research for the product launch.
Another important thing to keep in your mind when making your emotional marketing campaigns is sensation transference theory by Lewis Cheskin. This is the first idea. How product looks on the outside change how people feel about what's inside. For example, if you wrap chocolate in a shiny gold foil, people feel like it's better quality, even if the chocolate is exactly the same.
True, the gold foil chocolates are a lot more expensive.
Let's go to the color, the design, and packaging. So, brand use a beautiful packaging to increase trust, value, and satisfaction.
I mean, yeah, we spoke about it in even the first and second episode, that it also falls under the experiential marketing things where people love unboxings and such if the packaging is good. Yeah.
Let's jump to the second part, foot in the door technique. This is the smart psychology trick. If you want someone to agree to something big, first ask for something small.
Ooh.
For example, a company might ask you to try a free sample. When you say yes, you are more likely to buy the full product later.
Ooh, that is smart. But
why? I'm asking why.
Why? A lot of people feel bad about saying no to things, and if it's a smaller
100%.
thing, they'll be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay, I'll do
100%.
it." And I mean, free samples for sure, because like you're
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
something. That never works with me though. If I don't want something, I'll just be like, "Nope, sorry, bye." It's probably because I'm in marketing. That's why.
But be careful.
Oh.
You know why?
Why?
Because you can easily end up manipulating people unfairly.
Yes, which is what we can. This is exactly what we're going to get into, the ethics aspect of it. These are so powerful that you, as a business, where do we draw the line? You have to be super ethical, and what level of everybody uses manipulation here and there in psychology in like normal levels. When you ask something, if you, let's say your colleague, you'll go up to your colleague and smile and ask them for a favor, and that's a form of manipulation. Yeah. So, but where do you draw the line? When is it too much,
Mm-hmm. No, so let's go to the final one.
Yes.
Finally, there is parasocial interaction. It's mean people feel a personal or connection with influencers, celebrities, or even brand mascots.
Yeah. So let's say if you're considering putting a face for your brand, then you have to keep in mind that they will have that parasocial interaction,
for
right?
sure.
So how does it?
I'll
does
give
that
you
lead
example.
to?
Wait,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Many young people feel like influencers are their friends.
Not just even young people.
Yeah.
Adults too. Yeah.
Yeah, you are right. Wallahi, you are right. They trust what they say, and often by what they recommended. We see a lot of influencers like to promote a product. We don't know what is the product.
Yeah.
From where.
They're not even related to the product a lot of the times.
Brands use this by working with influencers to build trust and loyalty. When people feel close to someone they trust, of course, they will trust the influencers to get this product.
Yeah, so again, very important what influencers you choose to work with, if you even want to have influencers in your emotional marketing strategies as you're building your brand or not. Now, I also want to touch on one very important framework that I would highly recommend you guys to go and research. I'll give you the kind of definitions of it and what its relevance to marketing is, but you should definitely go and research into a deep dive as well. So the appraisal tendency framework, also known as the ATF, it's basically a framework that proposes that specific emotions, not just like mood in general, by the way, actual emotions, they shape how people think and make decisions. Each emotion leads to a distinctive cognitive pattern or appraisal tendency. Okay, so for example, fear, anger, pride, they all have different cognitive patterns on like a biological level in your brain. And these influence how we evaluate messages, risks, and choices. So for example, fear gives you a heightened risk perception. So if you're afraid of something, you're more likely to analyze the risk aspect of things, and preference for safety-focused messaging. So if people are afraid of a certain thing, what you can do is a message that is going to be more safety focused is going to be more appealing to them. Anger gives greater confidence and more likely to take risks. So if someone is more angry, they tend to have their risk-taking part like switched off, like the inhibition switched off, and they have more confidence to usually do things. That's why they say never make decisions in anger, because you're more likely to respond more boldly or even be like more rebellious or tend to make decisions like that. So for those people, they respond better to bold or rebellious messaging. So if there's a thing that you want to sell that is solving a problem that's related to anger, that people are very angry about, if you give a very bold and rebellious message, they are more likely to receive that better. And the relevance to marketing is that brands intentionally evoke specific emotions in campaigns, like let's say security or empowerment, to guide the consumer's response towards a desired action. So let's say you want them to purchase or click or subscribe and so on. That will depend on the emotion that you've evoked and who your target. Now, I want to get into something that has made emotional marketing a lot more useful in the recent years than before, and that is something known as the loneliness epidemic. A lot of people are still not taking this as seriously, and they think it's just clusters of people that are feeling lonely. But the loneliness epidemic refers to a widespread experience of loneliness and social isolation observed across the globe, and it's got very serious implications. So, for example, the U.S. Surgeon General's advisory reports that 1 in 2 adults felt lonely even before COVID-19. Now, COVID dramatically worsened this and triggered public health concerns, because people think that loneliness, okay, you just feel lonely and that's it. But there's a lot that is, there are a lot of side effects to loneliness. A systemic review found that social isolation increases risks of dementia by approximately 50%, heart disease by approximately 29%, and stroke by approximately 32%, comparable to or worse than smoking or obesity. So if you guys think I'm super healthy and I don't smoke or anything, but you feel lonely, then your chances of catching these risks that are usually associated with smoking or obesity are higher in you. Another study, a California study, found that 76% of adults suffered moderate to severe loneliness, and the condition peaked in individuals in their late 20s, mid-50s, and late 80s. And this correlated with poorer cognitive, mental, and physical health. And in a very recent study in 2024, a nationally representative U.S. survey showed that 21% of adults reported feeling lonely, with strong links to feelings of disconnection, anxiety, and depression. And among minority groups in 2024, 56 to 63% reported loneliness, higher stress, mental distress, and depression. Younger generations are now reporting higher levels of loneliness in Gen Z and millennials, and they feel even lonelier than the older groups, age groups, like even more than those people who are age 65 plus. So what causes loneliness and what are the contributing factors to it? Well, we're not going to cover everything, but a couple of them that we'll cover is the pandemic isolation that everyone's really well aware of. The pandemic isolation, it increased digital communication and it reduced in-person interaction, which accelerated loneliness trends across the world, because it is well known that if you are face-to-face with someone, there have been studies of it, that when you're in the same room as someone else, you tend to feel things more intensely and you feel more connected. And then social media and passive internet use are also associated with higher loneliness levels, because obviously you guys probably know this phrase of go touch grass, leave the internet, leave your computer, go touch grass, communicate with people. So constantly being online and being stuck to your phone is a heavy contributor to loneliness. And social changes, even like rising in individualism and declining civic management, fewer third places like cafes and parks and community centers. Well, not here, not in the UAE specifically, but across the globe, there's less and less places like this. Like malls are very active and like social here, but across the world, people just go kind of like for shopping most of the time, and they don't really hang out as much at malls as we do here in Dubai. But yeah, those things have eroded social cohesion and contributed to something known as the friendship recession. Okay, so fewer friends per person is what we're seeing. Now, what it does in terms of consumer behavior when it comes to loneliness, it has a psychological impact on buying patterns. Consumers are like buying a lot more as a coping mechanism for loneliness. So it's again not a joke when we say that I have to fill this gaping hole in my chest with like buying and I'm a shopaholic. This is an actual thing. They are relying a lot more on materialistic things to get themselves that dopamine rush when they purchase something. And in terms of commerce and online commerce, because everything went online, a lot more people were able to just purchase everything online instantly, especially during COVID. So loneliness and boredom were both significant predictors to purchase intentions. Telepresence mediated this relationship. So being constantly online and influencer brands, because like as we mentioned in the parasocial point, when people feel lonely and they are connecting a lot more with influencers who are telling them to buy these things, they end up buying these things. They want to have that sense of connection. So it's not just the loneliness leads to more boredom as well and reliance on purchasing to fill in the gaps. Now, emerging scholars are starting to call this thing the loneliness economy, and it's the monetization of the emotional gap people are feeling. And one of the things that we are seeing, as I said, like the loneliness economy, it is making emotional marketing a lot more useful because, as we said, they are feeling a disconnection. They are deprived of emotional connection, and that's why they are much more ready to receive emotional marketing campaigns. Another thing that's happening now is that you see the emergence of AI companions, and people are turning towards AI to speak to and confide in, and they trust them a lot. But now the ethics aspects of it kick in a lot harder, which I want to discuss, is because if people are feeling really lonely and they start thinking that an AI is a companion, and then let's say this AI is gathering your data, which is going to be shared for further analysis to come up with more marketing things or ways to sell you things and such. How okay is that? And what are the security risks of it as well? This is the segment that we want to get into next, and how loneliness has created, like this level of loneliness and digitalization has created this whole new paradigm to take emotional marketing further. So Ahmed, my questions to you are, does AI actually help with loneliness, and how is it capturing these emotional signals that users are sending it to be there for them emotionally?
Yeah, peer-reviewed experiments like a study by De Freitas et al. Found that AI companions can really reduce loneliness. In some cases, they offer emotional benefits almost equal to real human interactions, though people often don't expect this. This shows that people are starting to trust AI in a way we didn't imagine before.
Speaking of didn't imagine before, even the CEO of OpenAI, ChatGPT, Sam Altman, there was a recent article that came out that he was surprised that people are trusting AI to this level. Yeah, so let's see. How does AI actually do this level of understanding, and how is it able to?
Let's go there. How AI captures emotional signals. So I'll let you know how does this work behind the scenes. When people interact with AI, whether it's chatbot, a virtual friend, or an AI assistant, they share feelings, questions, and stories as well. This creates a huge amount of real human data that can be studied and used to improve how AI understands us.
Basically, AI learning. Yeah, that's how it does it.
And there is a new research by Wang 2025 study is exploring emotion-based recommendation system. These systems don't just look at clicks or likes. They analyze things like how long we view something, facial expressions picked up by cameras, the emotional tone of what we write or say in chat. This helps AI understand not just what we do, but how we feel when we do it.
Yeah, just like how we use the neuromarketing tools, AI is basically doing that that in a different way. So I actually want to talk about TikTok's recommender system and the techniques and impacts it has. So have you noticed actually, if you've been on it long enough to the point where it understands you, it recommends you things on your feed that are so accurate to what you're looking for. And that's what it kind of keeps you scrolling forever and ever. So a 2024 mixed methods study found that TikTok uses collaborative filtering and content-based filtering driven by metrics like likes, shares, hashtags, video length to predict what each user prefers. So it ends up boosting engagement via deep personalization. And another analysis by Booker and Ehrman in 2025, again, I'm probably butchering the name, using sock puppet accounts showed follow features, likes, and watch rates strongly influence what recommendations users get. So it's leading to a filter bubble and bias reinforcement. So people are seeing what they want to see because TikTok is so good at collecting interest signals rapidly thanks to like short video formats and capturing the preferences by seconds instead of minutes. That's how accurate and good it is. And it deliberately intersperses content outside of known interests to better infer and retain its users. So it ends up not showing you things you don't want to see, and it ends up showing things that you exactly want to see. And it learns very quickly by, let's say, sometimes showing you something that's outside your zone, outside your usual thing, to see how you react to it. Do you scroll past it very quickly? Do you stay and watch? If you do stay and watch, it starts to put that into your feed as well. And not just that, I mean, there is a lack of transparency, and like there are echo chambers that are being built out of this. So these are like real issues that we need to think about, because you see a lot of radical opinions that are just being echoed back to each other, and people start to then believe all of this misinformation because that's all they're seeing. So while the recommender system is amazing and it feeds into the emotional wants and needs of what people want, it has some really, really severe risks as well. But in terms of wider AI-powered marketing systems.
So let's go there.
Yeah,
Can you tell me about how AI can build personal connections and read emotional signals. But AI role in marketing goes far beyond that. It's transforming how entire campaigns are designed and delivered in real time. How it works. A recent 2025 literature review shows that advanced AI models like transforms and GANs are now at the heart of modern marketing. The models help brands predict what people are likely to buy next. It also helps dynamically segment audience by grouping customers based on real-time behavior, not just basic demographics. And lastly, tailor campaign messages instant, so ads feel more personal, relevant, and timely. All of the helps brands boost engagement and return on investment, but it relies on a huge amount of user data.
Yeah, and the thing is, more and more companies are developing their own AI tools now, and they'll be able to gather personalized information on their clients and users. So like, for example, right now, you get an opt-out feature that exists, although a lot of the times it's usually hidden in terms and conditions and obscure settings and features and so on. But some of them allow you to do that, and then some of them just kind of go, well, you can't use our service at all if you are not going to share your personal information with us. And while initially a lot of people were just using ChatGPT, created AIs and so on, you're seeing a lot more companies that are using their own AIs because they are like systems that they built themselves because they are afraid of the security aspects of it and how the data is stored. So I know that there is an actual challenge of like trust and ethics involved here, right, Ahmed?
Yeah.
So
Sino, for the challenge, trust and ethics, a strategic analysis of AI and consumer behavior shows that tools like predictive analytics, sentiment analysis, and real-time audience segmentation have now become core parts of marketing. This delivers big benefits, but also raises big questions about privacy, fairness, and trust. If brands want to use AI responsibly, they need to be transparent about how they use data, put fairness safeguards in place to prevent biases, and ensure systems are auditable and trustworthy.
yeah, so now you said auditable, and I want to actually get into the cybersecurity aspect of this conversation.
My game.
Your favorite part, yes. So yeah, a lot of people may be okay with AI using their data and taking in the bulk of data that they are sharing with it, as long as they feel that their data is safe and it's not going to go like leaked anywhere, and they feel that it's just a conversation between me and the chatbots, and they feel like as long as the data is safe, it's between me and the chatbot, it's fine, and that the AI is not actually collecting like personal information with identifiers in there, and it's okay. It's everything is fine as long as it helps me and it gives me what I want to see and it is there for me when I need it. I don't mind it as much. A lot of people want better marketing. They want to be able to find the products that they want in an instant. So, Ahmed, my question for you is, can we clarify what do these systems actually collect? And tell me a bit about how safe this data can be, because we know a lot of data breaches always happen. So what are the risks of it, and how is this data collected? What is exactly collected?
Today's AI and behavioral analytics tools collect a lot of information. They track things like what we click on, how long we stay on a page, what we buy, even things like facial expression or mood from what we write. This helps brand know what we want and target ads in a very personal way. Now, where's the risk? I will tell you where's the risk. I will tell you.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. This level of tracking can be useful, but it also has real risks. It can invade people's privacy if they don't know what's being collected.
Yeah, most people don't read terms and services to see what exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes this data is sold to other campaigns. How?
Data brokers, data brokers. Oh, no.
Yeah, for sure. Often without clear permissions. Thirdly, AI system can also show biases if they learn unfair patterns from the data.
Oh my God. Did you hear about the recent thing that happened with Grok?
What
Oh
happened?
my God. Grok had an absolute mental breakdown. If you guys don't know, Grok is the AI developed by Elon Musk's team.
Yeah, I
like
heard
it's
about
on
that.
Twitter. Yeah. It had an absolute mental breakdown and went super racist. I'm not going to repeat what it said, but it went super racist and it showed complete biases because, and by the way, this is not the first time this has happened. They've noticed that every time AI has been kind of let loose to learn on its own instead of the data it's given, it turns racist. I'm not even joking. It turns racist every single time and violent. So it obviously analyzes all the biases, and so it can keep track of all of these biases as well in people.
MJ, do you have any idea about data breaches?
Yes, but I know this is your favorite
Yeah,
part,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I am going to let you tell us all about the data
It's
breaches.
another problem. It's another word.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you a story. In 2024 alone, over 1 billion records were leaked worldwide.
Oof, 1 billion? Over 1 billion?
1 billion.
Jesus.
Imagine that.
Oh my.
The healthcare sector had the biggest breach ever. You see that, MJ. It's up to 276 million people private healthcare info exposed. A Verizon report counted over 10,000 confirmed data breaches last year.
Oh, I remember this data breach.
And these attacks are growing fast, MJ. So
I think it was across 94 countries, right? It
yeah.
was like in 94 countries, the Verizon like breach that happened.
And also it's 180% year over year rise in exploits a software vulnerabilities.
So clearly, data breaches and hackings are increasing, and at the end of the day, AI falls under being a software. So if your data is breached from here and you're sharing everything with it,
You have to go bye-bye, London.
goodbye. And considering so, like, it's not even just like big companies that are creating these software tools, because like I said, every company is starting to make their own now. What if their security is a lot less than all of these big AI companies like OpenAI or Google? Then it's more likely that you're going to lose all of this data.
Now imagine if this happened with AI companions. People share deep feelings and private thoughts with AI tools, like a digital friend or therapist. If that data leaks, it's not just an email or password. It's someone's fears, hopes, and maybe even mental health details.
Yeah, it's basically like if someone is constantly recording the conversations between you and your best friend, and that leaks.
Yeah,
Always.
that makes a strong cybersecurity cybersecurity and privacy rules more important than ever.
100%, especially because, like I said, if it's going to be used in marketing a lot more, marketing is already related to psychology, so you are leaking people's brain, basically.
So while AI makes marketing more personal and powerful, brands must also protect people's data. Be clear about how it's used and build systems that are safe and fair, because trust is the key. If people don't feel safe, they won't share. And without trust, emotional marketing doesn't work.
True, 100%. To finish up the podcast now, Ahmed, I want to focus a lot more on the ethics of this, because we gave a lot of information and facts about how emotional marketing works, how AI is being used in it now, everything that kind of connects them together. And I want to see now, let's talk about the ethical aspects of it. And so, okay, let's just say this. How ethical is it to use emotional marketing in collaboration with AI and these kind of tools? Because the thing is, everyone is using it. So if you don't use these, you will fall behind. But how far is too far, both when it comes to emotional marketing and the use of AI? I want you to focus on the use of AI for me. I'll tackle the emotional marketing aspect of it and what the limits I feel should be and the morals I feel should be for, at least in my, but when it comes to AI, using that in your marketing campaigns, where do you think we should draw the line?
If you are going to use AI in making your emotional marketing campaigns effective, you have to keep these things in mind in terms of cybersecurity. Data privacy compliance. You have to follow regulations like GDPR, CCPA, and other data protection laws.
Yeah, I believe in every country it's different, right? The
Yeah, of course.
requirements for those, yeah. And if it depends on the type of data you're also handling and so on. Yeah.
And the second thing, secure data storage and termination. Like encrypt your data.
If you're storing it, it has to be obviously encrypted. If you're terminating the data and getting rid of it, it has to
Of
be
course.
disposed of.
Using strong encryption protocols and use secure APIs to access third-party marketing tools.
Because most of the breaches usually happen
Yeah.
between this whole third-party thing that comes in. Yeah, you got to research and make sure that any third-party tool you're using is actually trustworthy as well, if it's gonna deal with any of the data you have.
Yeah, right. You have to use AI, but ethically. Be transparent about how AI is used in your marketing. And the most important thing, employee training.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I agree 100% with this.
Yeah, 100%. You have to. There's like a phishing awarenesses, data hygiene.
Yeah, so for example, if anyone in your company gets breached through a phishing email or something, if you are going to use such strong tools like AI you're going to be holding onto so much important information, then you definitely need to upgrade your entire security stance, I feel. Don't use the AI tool if your team does not have enough training, because even if the person who is not directly using the AI data, if someone else gets phished, then your whole system would be compromised and that data would get leaked as well. So training, 100%, I agree with that. What else, Ahmed?
Avoid storing personally identifiable information unless necessary. Yeah. Ensure explicit user consent for data collection and usage.
Which falls under the
Yep.
compliance laws that we spoke about.
Overall, your cybersecurity stance should be upgraded to maximum level if you are going to be handling sensitive data in such large amount.
Agreed. And now I'll get into the emotional aspects of it, like the ethical level of how much you should be using it in emotional marketing and where I think we should draw the lines for that. So yes, it's important to keep this data safe, but you also have to keep in mind that you cannot just use this data to just sell. We spoke about how emotional marketing evokes trust in clients. If you are making people trust you so much and you are going to then be abusing that's where I draw the line. I would say if you are actually getting into emotional marketing, you need to have a mindset that you actually care about your clients and consumer base as well. So if you see a certain level of manipulation that you would not be okay with, do not do that to your clients. Like, for example, one thing that has gone viral several times in terms of bad use of emotional marketing is in gambling. Gambling is usually targeting people who have an addiction problem, okay? So they're already vulnerable to ruining their life, basically, with your product. So it is very important that when you are using emotional marketing to attract them, you are also giving them fair warning. You need to balance it out. That's where the ethics of it comes in. If your campaign is so strong and is giving zero doubts to people and like making them at least think about certain things, because you remember how we said peripheral route of persuasion is what we go for emotional marketing. But if your product is something that can potentially be damaging if there's too much of it, and you are not allowing them to bring in that central thinking, the deeper cognitive level of thinking where they can make a good decision, I don't think that's ethical. I think we need to be responsible because everybody wants their business to succeed, but there should be a line drawn somewhere, because if you are damaging your customer base, even if you want to think about it and not in still a business perspective, you still want this customer base to be retained. If someone is being run to the ground for, let's say, gambling for too much, and you've lost that client because you were very irresponsible with them, because emotional marketing is power. It is a level of power, and every power should be used responsibly. Another example is that you see a lot of streamers in terms of the parasocial behavior that we spoke about. They will build a connection. Their entire income relies on building a connection with their audience. You will see some of them who are very irresponsible with this emotional connection, and they will just make their viewers donate thousands and thousands of dollars without caring about their well-being. I have seen examples where the viewer is broke, completely broke, not able to pay their rent even, but is throwing money at this streamer. It is the responsibility of the streamer, for example, to then say the warning of, please do not donate if you cannot, for example, make ends meet. Be very responsible with your money. I don't want it if you are not able to afford it. Again, the responsible aspect of it needs to be kicked in. We need to draw the line of not damaging the client base, is where I see it when it comes to emotional marketing. And AI being used in tandem with that, it would be the same level of emotion.
Yeah, of course.
The same level of responsibility if we're analyzing all of that data. At the end, I would say anything that involves psychology and playing with people's minds, think twice and care for your client base. Give them a product that is actually good as well. That's where you draw the ethics line too. If your product is bad, work on it, improve it.
And take care of your data.
Take care of your data for sure. But yes, I would say don't be the narcissist when you're using emotional marketing is basically what I'm saying. Still have that care for your customer base. But yeah, that was today's episode. I hope it gave you some food for thoughts and we had some useful information for you.
And if you have any questions.
Of course, if you have any questions, you can now actually drop them on the subreddit.
Yeah.
It is live at Marketing and Matcha on reddit.com. We will have it in the links below somewhere in the description of this podcast that you're listening to. Drop your questions there, any comments, stories, concerns that you have. And
do you have any ideas?
Oh yeah, bring us ideas for episodes. What would you like to hear from us? And we will dive into those in the next episode.
So see you next episode.
Well, hear you next episode. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.